Hey y'all, welcome back to my little corner of the world. This is Casey's Corner. Hi, I'm Kacie. I'm back. It has been a year. Roll call. Who's high fives? High fives if you're still here and have made it. Go us. Um, because I know it was it's not always promised. And just in general here in life in general, but also like just here in general existing on these interwebs. Hi, hello. Um, cause yeah, I that ain't promised either. Uh, Welcome to my 2025 year in review, a recap, a wrapped, whatever verbiage you want to use. I don't know. Check in. I just I wanted to do the thing. It has been a year, and I wanted to pop in and um say hey, just acknowledge and express my gratitude for one, for everybody that has dropped a like and subscribed on this page. For one, everybody that was here cheering me on and supporting me as I wrapped my anxiety filled brain hole around doing lives on other platforms than just the one I was comfortable with, and pretty much the only one I existed on for about a decade. Um, until these last few years, as I've tried learning what it is to do the things that I do, um, to to be a content creator and influencer, but like with a firm hatred of all things capitalism. So I don't. So it turns out I'm not very good at that aspect of it. Brand deals, who, what, paid partnership? That is. I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning. But that's something I've been learning these past few years on these interwebs, and this year was a hard one. So let's lock in and focus. Where did we begin this year at? Where were we at? I know for me, uh, I had spent the previous year pretty much quiet on, um, on this platform, particularly like my YouTube's. I could not film for much of 2024, and through a part of 2025 here at home. I couldn't film or record because we had extra people. I hear wildlife moving around. Anyway, because we had some family members living here, and for everybody's safety and sanity, I just had to shut down that part of my work here on the interwebs. So if you were I couldn't do lives, anything like that was like here at the home. That's why none of that happened. So heading back into 2025, trying to get, for one, like I said, the first part of it, that aspect of my work was still fairly limited. Uh, Pretty much getting the monthly unboxings out was it. That was about the only time I could manage to record here at home. Um, and that was hard. And then heading into this year, as I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out. I'd been having a lot of conversations over, in previous years. I'd started teaching right in these past couple of years, and was looking forward um, to hopefully. And this year there was a lot of plans for me to be teaching in person more, for me to be doing more. Um, just a lot of different things. And then as last year ended, and everything was the way it was, and a lot of communities that I was in, a lot of small businesses that I'd been looking forward to working with in the following year, a lot of events I'd been looking forward to working with in this coming year. A lot of stuff just was gone, exploded, imploded, could not survive the absolute uncertainty of this economy. This and it that was hard. that was hard. At the same time, um, we've got all this AI boom and everything. We've had a data center open up just, a couple miles from us, up the highway, and um, that has sucked. And so processing all of that at the same time. So then also, I'm a creative, and AI is just gobbling up and scooping up everything over the past few years. And then you're getting to the points where it's like playing whack-a-mole. We've been trying to, protect your work here, do this here, don't publish this there, because everything there's stolen, everything there's stolen, everything there's stolen. All the tools you're using, you can't use that because all of that is stealing all of your work. Like, I was heading into this year. I was dang near ready to just beginning the year with that mindset. At the same time, like, uh at the on top of all that, at the same time, it's this weird feeling of realizing, like, I've had for the past few years. I've talked a lot about how I felt like I was an alien on another planet. I was visiting another world. I felt like I was from a whole other universe, and visiting these, getting um meeting so many people from higher walks of, quote unquote, like, from basically just a different childhood background than my little trailer park hood rat running around ours had. And it was just really uninsured having ours, like, it was like, just a feeling of being an alien, because I the small talk consists of of a lot of just stuff. Like, I'm just like, wow, I can't relate to that. I don't get medical. I don't have doctor's appointments I got to worry about. So, and then I feel like an ass because I, I would, uh, so it's just really, really weird trying to figure out how to relate to people, but also not, being able to relate to people in some ways, and making friends, and through all of that. And then to get to this year and feel like, oh wow, my life is actually everybody else's worst nightmare, and everybody's freaking out. Everybody's panicking because, hi, I'm in Texas, and if you haven't caught on by now, as a lot of us in Texas have said and warned about, um, a lot of the stuff that's been happening here over the past 15 years has now gone national this past year. And that was just really, uh, that was hard on the brain hole, man, and on the heart. Uh, m- my physical and health had been struggling. Like, while my mental health was, as far as being bipolar, having a diagnosis, that's a whole other thing I'll talk about in a second. Um, mm, but being able to, I done lost my train of thought now. Damn. That's what processing all the getting through a major cycle like I have in the past few years, but also like being hit with the year like we've had this year. Uh, and heading into this year, it was also really weird and really hard because it's like, wow, am I numb? Am I disassociated? Or am I actually better from how awful, a legit, like, mental disability crisis, chronic illness flare up it is. And turns out, as the year went on, and as I started, like, listening to my body and responding to, changing the things I needed to change, and taking care of myself again more, and focusing, pulling back on a lot of my more public commitments, uh, to deal with the messages, uh, my body and everything falling apart, and my house, and everything else. Uh, as I stood back to do that, it really was such a clear difference to realize, like, yeah, there is a big difference when you're going through uh, a disability flare up, a chronic illness flare up, where because I was also, the flare up of the mental health and the bipolar, like it's very mental, but it's also very physical. It's the pain that comes with it that I'm just plowing through because I'm not going to chiropractors or doctors or anything like that because ain't nobody can afford that, and ain't nobody has. This is rural Texas. They've been shutting down our clinics for 15 years now. Anyway, I'm not gonna keep getting into that, but yeah, I am, at least as we head into this year. As we headed further into this year, I am happy to report that I at least uh, am doing, as good as I could be mentally. Like, this was a rough year, and this has been a rough couple weeks, by the way. If you've been on my socials, uh, from you've seen that from like Thanksgiving to uh, through Christmas, we've had a lot of stray dogs attacks around here, and personally on me and my household and our animals. And let's just say that's why this is being filmed on the very last day of the year. Um, it's been a lot of uh, that's actually, you don't hear my goats right now because they did not survive these attacks. Uh, and sorry, not sorry if I just dropped a bomb on you, and if you didn't see that over on my socials, but also like it was a bomb dropped on me. That's not anything I was planning either. Life be like that, and it really, really sucks, and it really has been really heartbreaking. And we can do everything, and the people that are goat breeders, uh, which again, I'll discuss more about the future of goats and everything another time. But I will say that they were very understand. Like they were like they felt for us, and were like just letting us know, like, we understand. You did all you could. It happens, and blah blah. Like even having the window open, sleeping, and it was still with these feral dogs. There's so many of them running in these packs. It's like 8+, and they've been tearing through people's doing this to our neighbors all around town and stuff. And they're not eating. They're just, it was awful. And so all that to say, hey, I'm just glad I'm still here. And that I've been able to keep going through all of that. I promise this recap's gonna get funner. So all of that to say, that's where we were. That's where we've been this year. This year sucked. We're looking forward to next year. And we're looking forward to the fun stuff now. So I want to talk about the fun things. I want to talk about some of the things that I didn't get to really talk about so much this year. Like Taylor Swift. What? I want to talk about some of my favorites and stuff of the year. My favorite books and favorite moments of the year and all that stuff. So, but real quick, I want to go over, so how I run, let's just recap what you can expect from me here on this channel, and on my socials and on my page and stuff, just from me going forward, just in so if you haven't noticed, I tend to my style. I try not to be too overly polished. I try just to be real and honest. Frankly, I have to I'm using my front camera because I have too much anxiety to try it the other way. I've tried it and it doesn't work. This helps me being able to talk to a person that is me. I guess helps for now. But also that is also just exposure therapy for me, because I really, for a long time starting this, I really didn't like seeing me. And maybe that's a form of my shield and protection as well, because, if I see all my bad angles, when I'm filming it, you can't use it against me in the comments. I think I just figured that out. Well, thank you for being here for my therapy. Okay. So, all that to say, that's that's the gist you're gonna get from me is hi, I'm a hedge witch. I uh generally want to represent hedge witch, but not life. I don't know. No, but you're just gonna get life from me. I uh growing up here in Texas, there's a bit, there was, a big narrative from certain people who would love to pretend that this state, nation, country, world was built just for them. And they like to try really hard to deny the existence of anybody that's not like them. And so that's generally why I do what I do, because and why I've always why I've decided to share my stories publicly, why I first got onto Facebook when I did and use that platform as I did, as far as it, just as a private way to publicly, or to, to share my stories and influence the people I grew up with. And um, influence, again, I hate that word because it's not pretty, but it's also like when you're an activist and an advocate, that's what you're doing with storytelling. And there you go. um I'd accidentally become a news source for people on that. Like, I literally had people like being like, wow, I don't know anything about the news, Kacie, other than what you tell me here on Facebook. And that, I hit the brakes on that real quick. Because again, I hate being a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. And I'm constantly battling with that. Because, that wasn't my job. There are people, news reporters, that's their job. But also, you know, I see where me not doing that allowed for a vacuum of, for those people to, turn to other people. So also, I don't know. Um, but that's our other discussions for the future. So that's what you're gonna get. That's me. Also, so you'll get witchy content, me overcoming my fear and anxiety and all this stuff by doing the traveling stuff, by chasing my dreams, by living, by existing in these spaces and contexts um, that you're going to find your average witch. Just dun 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 dun. And that's why I'm friends with Kim. If you don't know, you can check out my interview over on the Your Average Witch podcast from forever ago. And I would, yeah, and I've talked about it. One of these days, I will probably do another interview with Kim and do an update or whatever, or some other things. You never know in these podcasting worlds. I also have a podcast of my own, Snacks. The Snack episodes, the first season is all travel stuff, and pretty much my journey over, challenging myself to leave my little corner of the world. Which I realized, what is the phrase, agoraphobia, when you're afraid to like leave your home? I was getting bad. I got to a point where it was either like, okay, we're gonna embrace that, or we're not. We're gonna hold the tarantula and go places. High fives you if you get that reference. Oh shit. Anyway, uh, there's your high five. Anyways, so what else? Focus, Kacie. I got my notes on like the fun stuff I want to talk about. Real quick, I just want to make sure I'm covering content. So you're gonna get book stuff, as I have in the book stuff. At least monthly, you're gonna get my witchy unboxings. What's in the book stack? Some travel vlog, Kacie goes, and you'll get those. I've got a backlog of videos to edit for the Kacie goes from over the past couple of years, including my big final one for Anahata's from what, 2024, when I went with Ryan, with my husband. Like, yeah, that was epic, considering like my first two, the whole point was like pushing myself to go alone. And my first year was I went with a friend, and then that second year I went all by myself, and then that third year it happened. It's over a year ago now. But it was about inviting my husband into that world, and kind of like, I didn't mean to flip you all off there, but kind of wrapping it all up and combining, all the aspects of me. So yeah, I look forward to getting that stuff edited. I know I have my Austin Witch Fest videos. I've gone and taught there. I taught there again this year. That's one of my stats from this year, my Kacie stats. So I did 2 live classes this year. Yay. I didn't get to do the online classes I was hoping to do, but I did wrap up the monthly group spells for the Witch Bitch Amateur Hour. So that is going to free up some space in my schedule and mental allowance and writing creativity ability. Eh? Um, but mostly like just my schedule to be able to record content and publish and host things. Um, I will be able to do my online classes, and I did still, and I am still, and I'm trying to pick a date. If you have a for January for doing my snake magic class, I did want to do that before the end of the year, and I was thinking um, probably like the second weekend of January, so in a couple of weeks, maybe a little later than that. I don't know. I will look at the calendar though, but I did want to do that to kick off the year. Um, and yeah, I also shout out to all my new Kofi subscribers members from the end of this year as I did my big Kofi push. I now I have 2 hedge witches. What's up? I've got 2 travelers, and I have a snack sized uh, member of my Kofi membership. If you like what I do, want to support what I do, I did adjust the prices going into this next year. So at the beginning of this month, and as we had, so everybody was, I dropped them a little bit because yeah, times are tough, and but also that means I'm going to be leaning more on some digital content versus more physical stuff for my lower tiers, smaller tiers, the $1 tier. But everybody does still get a sticker. I gotta send those out. What else? And online. Oh, that's what everybody does still get online readings. There we go. And those will be getting typed up and sent out because of the aforementioned animal emergencies. I did have to just take a week or so to deal with that and get back in the right headspace to finish up doing those readings. And those will be heading out as we begin this new year to my Kofi members. Again, thank you guys so much for your support all of these years. It is going to be my 5th year on Kofi, so thank you so much. And I'm excited to be in a better headspace to be focusing on that at this point after dealing with everything that I have for the past few years, pushing myself in the way that I did. We all knew I was very open. I said in the beginning that going to doing the traveling thing and pushing myself to fly on a plane by myself for the first time was probably going to be very triggering for the old bipolar 2 disorder. But on the other side of it, I also feel like I am just in a better place than I've ever been since. Ever? Mentally, at least. Financially, physically, emotionally, household wise. Like, that's a mess, y'all. Anyway, that's a whole other story. We're working on that one day at a time. All right. And let's wrap up. All right. So, my top moments, top things, and all the fun stuff of the year. Okay. First of all, Showgirl, Taylor Swift. Let's talk about it. I am. So the past few years, that was so great watching the live streams, doing the Eras tour and everything. And we knew last December that ended. So heading into this year was hard for the Swifties. We had a it was such an experience, like not just like the meet and everything, but it was the community around it, and then to be going through everything what everybody was going through post election last year, and then beginning this year and everything, and not having our emotional support, live stream community that uh, that was a rough transition, but I am super proud of the way the Swifties responded this year by uh, turning, like, for instance, the Swifties for Kamala campaign turned into Swifties for Hope and became the campaign where for hope for one, but of action, of applying, of doing good works like donating to charities, of following the example of the whole, the person, the fandom uh, community, you know, was created around and stuff. I've been a part of fan clubs and stuff like that from for I was an 80s kid that was in the New Kids on the Block fan club. I remember getting one of their cassette tapes with their behind the scene, like, backstage interviews. Oh my god. Like, so, like, this is like, I was in the Babysitters Club fan club too. Anyway, so, like, finding communities in this way, I really respect, and I it is hurtful a lot of the times, the uh, a, a lot of the backlash you see around fan communities and stuff, and especially this year that was no different. For the Swifties, we tend to get it real hard every time she has an album come out. It's really like clockwork and very predictable at this point, and for a lot of things and a lot of reasons, particularly since Reputation, for a lot of other reasons that, um, if you know, you know. Um, so that's why when I was listening to Life of a Showgirl this year, and for one, let's just start at the beginning there. That's why, partly why it was such a team project, like, legit, like, we felt from this aspect of the community, it really felt like such a team project, getting her master's back, because that was a trust fall that she took. And I remember hearing all the interviews on the NPRs about whether or not it would work, because it was it mattered whether or not the fans cared about why, she was doing what she was doing, and about the project of devaluing that old music, the original music that she didn't own the masters to. So, like, I mean, you want people that know how to fucking boycott Swifties, man, because look what we did this year. That was the biggest, like, most successful, uh, you know, underrated boycott, I think, that a lot of people just did not get. That I feel like I was so frustrated that I felt was missed out of, what is it, the zeitgeist, I guess, was how, that would not have happened had we not actively made the choice, like, seen, okay, Eras Tour, this is a project. Like, all of these were projects, was a goal of, what, devaluing the old shit, and uh, gaining back control and stuff. And that was great. Uh, what else? But also, from that perspective, that's also what made listening to the new album, uh, like, that's what makes listening to any of her albums kind of like, there's a layer of, like, one little layer where you've just got to, like, ugh, you're gonna get the bullshit's about to come out. And some of the stuff, like, it's old, where you know, we've been at this long enough where you've thought, you've processed, you've gone through, you've dug, like, are they into the, you've really, and you've looked and seen, you know, there comes a point when somebody's actions speak louder than the words of strangers. Like, I don't even know how to put, but it's something I've been kind of, like, trying to figure out how to tell, because I got it a lot over these past few years, and I know, uh and I understood what she was going through a little bit after, because I have a tiny community. I have tiny communities, relatively speaking, compared to what she's responsible for. And when those attacks happened, n- not just the Vienna one, but also, like, just a fan community attack, like, nothing that she was actually in charge of, but it was just a group of fans of little girls at a dance party in the UK. Uh, and so it, oh, sweet little bird. So it's like, I know for me, I take great responsibility. Like there's a big weight on me of keeping my community safe, of knowing when I'm in a public aspect, when I'm speaking publicly or in a public setting or speaking on the interwebs, in any way that's, it can be traced back to the events that I am associated with, and or the people I'm associated with, my family. I have faced threats my whole life, and stalkers and harassment and um, all of the things from the aforementioned whole, they don't want people like me to exist. They tried really hard when I was a kid to get me not to exist. Um, so, oh gosh. Uh, so seeing, a business entrepreneur boss woman in the public eye having to deal with that, and in very much relating to it in my own, wee little uh, life, public life, as uh, it sucks and it's hard, and that is why some Swift, why we get this like reputation for we will defend, we'll go to war and stuff, because in a lot of ways we've been through this crap ourselves, uh and we do take it personally, because it has been our personal experiences. It's our personal joy that's squashed by some of this bull crap. um so yeah, so that's why when I was listening to the album, uh I love it so much, because one, any Taylor Swift music, it's like there's this surface level of listening to it, of response, of like of what it means or whatever, that's like just right here. Like that's what I know, like the general public, the general like radio audience, that's you know, that's it. That's what I know. But then like then you go underneath, and then you actually like really like you dig your thoughts a little deeper, and all of a sudden like, whoo, okay, this first dive, that's where like the artists and the musicians are coming in and being like, wow, this reference here, that reference there, that's a really neat thing that she did with that musical call out, or this audio thing, or this like book reference or something. And then you keep going, and you go, woo, really deep under there, and then you're getting into Swifty level, because we're thinking all those things, we're catching all, wow, surface level fun pop, but then we're all catching like, oh, these other awesome like technical things, or like lyrical tricks and things and stuff, and references, um, turns of phrase and stuff like that. And then it's like, ooh, even deeper, because then you're everything's connecting back into itself, back to interviews, back to, you're like, there's all kinds of stuff in your experience, as the longer you've been in this fandom, that you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, or that's references that, like, oh yeah, like, so I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna say it. Listening to Opalite, I love that song so much. It's not any of the any of the things, um, because again, intention matters, context matters, uh, the entire context of everything and of the people matter, uh, and a person's own life experience, like it's their own storyteller or whoever um and I know that because a lot of these things that people will try and like attack her for and stuff, they ooh, I bit my tongue, they'll attack we little tiny people like me for, and I'm like, I am a nobody, a limit of a cologne, but it's because they want those virtue signals, they want to clutch their pearls and feel the happy feel good chemicals that makes them know that they were right, they want to burn the whatever the thing, because again, this isn't a left, right, blue, red, blah 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 blah. You get the nastiness and the ugliness and the hate from, it's all from the extremes of all sides, right? Um, it just I don't know, the words used are just slightly different, but it really all comes back to the same. Uh, so yeah, so listening to Opalite, I think it was my, I even just immediately listening to it, it's like, wow, and that's so much fun. And then, that, uh, but your mama said it's alright, baby. You were dancing through the lightning strikes. Oh, so just that little bit alone, my brain's like, oh, mama said, thinking about Andrea Swift. So thinking about just, all the ways she's been, had some wise kind, just that context and stuff, and the way, and just thinking of her over the Eras tour and all this stuff, and the way she was with the fans and stuff. Um, Thinking about that, and then dancing through the lightning strikes again. My next part of my brain goes back to that summer of last summer, the summer where she was recording this album. So again, already that context is, I know this album was recorded during, the summer of 2024, when we're all feeling, there's all this hope and promise, like literally the Swifties for Kamala, like all of that was happening in that summer. And so that really, that's what it took me to, was that's what I thought about, was getting through that summer and the joy of possibility, and how, like, it wasn't just like we were getting hit from lightning strikes, like, whoa, from, but also like how literally in the stadium tour there would be lightning delays, or lightning just way off in the distance, and during the rain shows. And that's what it made me think of and stuff. And I was just, wow. And then came the next thoughts, was like, wow, the people thinking up here are really gonna be all like, that's right, that, she's unmasking it, like, like, that's that whoop. You have to, it's like you get deep, and then you get pulled back to like, oh, this is how other people are going to think of it and react to it and stuff. And that's a layer there too. And it is kind of a downer sometimes, and a bummer, when you're like, wow. Because there's just one line I was so excited about in that song. And because that song also, so she gets you thinking about a storm. She gets you thinking about all the worlds, like, okay, like, in a lot of her stuff, she's already got you with Fate of Ophelia thinking about, Shakespeare and stuff. So with, uh, that one, I'm thinking of, what is it, The Tempest, and the storm inside a teacup, or the tempest in a teacup, like, is that line. But what she says is this is, a storm inside a teacup. And then the next line she says, and you think like, oh, is she going to say temporary? She says temporary speed bump, but your brain's already kind of like cued to be listening for that te, and you're like, oh, is she going to say tempest in a, is she going to twist? Is the next line going to be twisting, a tempest on a stage or something, twisting it in some way that way? But no, she takes it, boom, over here, a temporary speed bump. And like, just the pew pew pews, the joys that brought off in my brain and exploded, just in that little twist that she did, just in the way it's like an, oh, whoop, you think you're going that way, but she goes the other way, and it's like literally like, she football moved us, but with the, oh, that's what I wanted to talk about so much. That's what I loved. Did anybody really ask me? Nope. Nope. No. Except for one, my friends that went, once I was like grumpy enough about it, about like, wow, it's really something if you tell me I'm your resident like Swiftie, that you think of me when you hear Taylor Swift, but then you don't ask me for my opinion on controversial Swift things. I'm like, why? I'm your expert, not some stranger on a screen. You don't even know them. So, thank you to my friends who humored me, um, after I had my pity party and my little brat fest of how I just want to talk about Swifty things and being a Swifty witch, and we had to live in 2025. So thank you so much to my friends that humored me in that moment. You're the real ones. What else? So books. I'm gonna swift transition to my books of the year that got me through this year. My top books. Real quick. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm trying to keep this to be about an hour, so about 20 minutes left. So first of all, this. By the way, if you're not getting all the in-depth lyrical reference and how it's all like and how like literal, like literary, that's the word I'm looking for. For the deep cut literary references, not just like the musical references. That's a whole other book that I'm sure somebody has written out there that I don't know. Not just the visual references. Again, that's a whole other story. But for just the amazing, happy brain chemicals of the brain. This has been, I love this so much. It's literature behind the lyrics, from fairy tales to tortured poets, by Rachel Feder and Tiffany Tratu. I'm so sorry if I said both your names wrong, by the way. If you see this, I'm so sorry. This is really deep into the video, so how did you see this? Anyways, somebody must have timestamped and told you. It's ridiculous. You're never going to see this. I don't know why I'm rambling. But I really love this from from a Robert Frost poem on her debut album, To the Mists of Cassandra. Yes. In Torture, like all the connections. And so like think of my brain, you know that meme with the red line and stuff, the conspiracy guy? That's me as a Swiftie. And this like really makes that part of my brain happy. So yeah. I think that's all I got to say about that book. Definitely recommend. I would love, that's what I was gonna say. I would love to see a new edition with an update from the life of a showgirl and all of those Shakespeare, like the Ophelia and all of that. Can we get another edition, please? Who's the publisher? Quirk. Please, Quirk. Thank you. Oh, and my kid is here. Sorry, I'm just doing my end of year wrap up. Hold on. Just a sec. You know what? I'll edit it out. Come on through. Where are you?
Getting the chicken together to go food.
Okay.
Which one do I use? The one in there or the one in there?
You can use the one right here. Whoa. Oh, don't you sweat it, baby. Now I really have to actually edit this. I was just gonna raw dog it and just... You know what? Maybe I still will. Hey, welcome to the rough cut, guys. If this makes it. Otherwise, this is edited out. You won't even know. It just depends on how much time I have to get it published today.
All the time in the world.
At least until the Stranger Things finale premiere tonight. I thought it was at 5 Eastern.
Oh, no,
I don't know. I'll have to double check. I'll look in a minute when I'm done. If I didn't say earlier, this does mean some of our chickens did survive the attacks, if I didn't mention that earlier. Like, how many we still got? 6? 7? Oh, no, I did the thing. I did. He smiled and I was like, what? Oh, I realized what I did. I didn't even do it on purpose. Okay. Thanks. Anyways. All right. Well, there's that little intermission. So I'm going to wrap up. So the rest of my books of the year, the books that really gave me life this year, that I survived, or the year that I survived, Revolutionary Witchcraft. This was really grounding to get. It was great to go through and to get back into like, what's the whole point of why I'm a witch? And because I say this a lot, like when I get lost, just in general, it's like, okay, well, what are my base? When I'm confused about something, when I'm feeling like, oh gosh, am I being emotionally manipulated by this news flow or something, by this content creator or something like this, or by this trend that's happening or something like that. It's by this uh, by the hive mind of the mob. I always find it's good to like take a step back and check in with my own, like, okay, what do I hold, what are my values, what do I hold sacred, what do I um what most dear, starting back there, and then going from there. What Okay, well then that's my purpose. That's right. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. For what it's worth in this human experience. So with that context, this definitely helped. Another one that really helped me understand a lot of the ways where I was feeling, especially like just the cultural difference from the South and the North. Like that is a real thing. Um, and that is when uh, that is a thing to experience, and when you've never experienced that before, really. And it can be really confusing, um, and you can only think it's a you problem, and like check yourself, mold yourself, learn, do all of the things, bending, trying to learn the ways, before you're like, wait a minute, maybe some of this isn't just, maybe this is just a cultural thing, or maybe this is just like a difference, like some things, or maybe that's just an individual person thing, like sorting all of that out. I've had to do that, uh, to begin this year off, and to sort out everything that happened, uh, as last year ended and everything. um, and so when it was after the election and everything, my husband had taken me to the bookstore and he bought me a few books, and this was one of them, and then this was one of the other ones, and this one just, for brown girls with sharp edges and tender hearts, a love letter to women of color. I'm gonna cry just mentioning it because it has meant so much, because it really helped me reconnect back to my Lita. I didn't have my Lita for the past 7 years since she passed, maybe more now. And there's a lot of things I really would have loved to have talked to her about. And reading this book really helped me have those conversations with her in the way that I can now that she's passed and is on the other side. uh, and it helped me put a language to some of the things I was feeling, and being like, oh, that's a thing other people, particularly that's a thing other Latina coded, like, because again, I don't always, some people don't see me that way. Some people do see me that way. Some people don't realize that's how they're seeing me. Um, but I do see when in pictures or in rooms, when I'm like the darkest one there, and I'm not even that dark. It is it can be weird at times, um, navigating that space and that feeling. Because again, you know, I I'm not that. I'm very mixed, but again, I don't get to say how people perceive me. I also am fully aware that my Mexican grandmother, had been, not she didn't just raise me. There were other people there too, but she was also like one of the most influential. One of the people that was there the most. By default mode, she was my babysitter. So that's a huge fly. So culturally, and again, she's not even like I was. We're like those Mexicans that like we didn't cross the border crossed us. Like I remember feeling so indignant, and when I realized, uh, it's like we never even crossed the border. Like we've just always been here in Texas, but we were default still Mexican because of the darkness of her hair and eye color and skin. Um, because Spanish was her first language. Uh, so yeah, dealing with all of that, processing all of that without her around, plus everything else that was going on. This helps. Prisa Dorcas, Mojica Rodriguez. I am so sorry if I messed that up as well. Uh, I mess everybody's names up, and I had even when I think I did a review at the beginning of the year, and I learned how to say it and practice and everything. Um, but yeah, definitely recommend. Also, a book that I just keep going back to, for ever since I first got this back in, like, I guess around 2016, 2017. Let's see, when was this published? Okay, so yeah, it was published in 2000, so it's been around a while. All right, but I know, uh, coming out of the Obama era and with all of the talk of the founderism, and people were wanting to imply founderism into the Supreme Court, um, was when I first got this book, and and it really helped me. And then all the Hamilton stuff happened, and so then I really dug back into it, and then as I was watching the American Revolution this year, which, by the way, that's one of my top moments of the year. Um, that was so much fun. But it just is such a reminder that, one, these were human decisions made by humans, that they had choices to make. They could have chosen to end chattel slavery the first time around, and they chose not to. They could have chosen to give women uh, the same access to vote. They could have chosen to give non-property owner. Like, there are decisions that were made, um, and discussions that happened, and this book, it's a good reminder of that. That, like, the world that we, you know, the world we live in is built by the decisions of the people in charge, and who gets to be in those positions is very important. And as we're kind of seeing right now, in this past year has been very much like, woo. And so the other one I want to, Careless People. Now, I did not get to be reading. This is going to be my, for in the coming year, I want to read it. I looked at it a lot, and I got it started, and I want to finish it. I did listen to a lot of interviews with this author this year. And that's why I'm adding it. That's why it's on ending this list, is because, heading into this next year, if you didn't hear about this book this year, if you didn't catch up on it this year, hear any of the interviews, they were trying to shut it down. But definitely, if it helps understand, again, how we got here. And for someone that pretty much only existed on this platform up until recent years, and has kind of seen all this from um, a content user, creator, a product perspective, uh, is we're the data that is our products, and that's seen, these shift in these decisions and these choices these people made. Because, again, just like I said, these are human people making these choices. Well, they have been up until recently. That's a lot of thing. So yeah, that's my books of the year of 2025, and heading into this next year. Yeah, so real quick, okay, let me see, what else did I want to say. Top moments of the year, and that pairs with one of my top TV shows of the year. So my top non-fictional show of the year and moment of the year was the American Revolution, Ken Burns documentary. Oh my god, that was so good. I accidentally went viral on Threads on one of my posts and hosted a watch party that week on Threads, which I loved. That was so much fun. That reminded me a lot of the Swiftie community during the lives and during the Eras tour and stuff. So that reminded me of why I like Threads. It reminded me of, like, the old early days of community building on the Twitter. Okay, I did used to be on Twitter from the beginning, but that's a whole other story. So yeah, that was just a lot of fun to just enjoy that week, and it culminated in me giving in to my intrusive thoughts and doing my most scripted, edited, produced short, vertical video ever. And PBS saw it, liked it, and gave me a little blue heart on the TikTok, and that was the best. That was definitely a top moment of the year. I think they were the only ones that saw that video on TikTok. It was definitely bombed on TikTok. But it was like, I was trying to I was reading this book, but, like, in my head I was hearing it and picturing it in the Ken Burns style of documentary. And so I basically made that a reel. Uh, and I still tickle myself over. Okay, so my favorite fiction show of the year was new show was Death Valley. I love the British murder mysteries. They are my comfort shows. Also, Australian murder mysteries. Miss Fisher's murder mystery is my top one for like comfort rewatches. Agatha Raisin is right next to that one. My Life is a Murder. That's another one that's good on the rewatches. But Death Valley is a new one this year that I watched, and that one was real fast. On the, I immediately rewatched the whole thing several times. It immediately became a comfort watch, so that's why that ended up being my top, fiction show of the year. Because there were some others I really liked, um, but that was the one that was like that was an immediate rewatch, and the one that like I wanted to talk to people about the most as I was watching it. Like, hee, this is so fun, and oh, this is like so me. Um, So yeah, check that out. It's on Acorn, and I got it on Prime. If you have that. All right, and let's see. Oh, my movie of the year was definitely Sinners. That was a whole moment. Like, oh my god, I'm so sad. That was one of my forever sads. That I didn't get to go see that one in the theater. Um, but I did get to see it at home, and that's all right too. Uh, because it was, I mean, if I ever get a chance, if they do, replay it in the theaters again and stuff, and the money and everything lines up, I would love to go. Uh, but that was so good. It was an original story, and just like my brain was immediately like, oh, what about the, the mythology of it, or wrapping like the what, like it was just, I loved it. Or piecing together, of course, like the historical references with that, or the musical, like literally, Swifty brain applied to that. There seems to be a through line for me. Um, but yeah, that was yeah. And that was my movie of the year. Let's see. Let me double check my notes, make sure I covered everything I wanted to. Oh yeah, this is my first year I had a booth. That again, I'm not the best capitalist, but I have an idea for my future booths if I do get to have another booth in an event, and what I want to do with it. Because I really want to like yes have I do I'm a witch with the shop and I got to sell the things. So I do want to have like I do have oddities in my shop. By the way, hi, my coffee shop. Um, I've got updates. Uh, I do commission work and stuff like that. So I want to be able to showcase that in my booth. But I also like am a high anxiety sensory person, and would like my booth to be a pit stop of peace or something, like a place where you can take a breather and maybe make a little craft, maybe spin a little fun wheel, and get a little reading or something. Like, I want to do more of that in this coming year. I also want to do more of the reading stories of fairy time story time. If you saw my live for the solstice this year, I read one of my favorite books that I used to always read to my boys um, every solstice when they were growing up. It's Fireflies, one of the Alice Hoffman little children's stories. Beautiful little book. Check that out. I want to do more of that in this coming year. And maybe even I want to do that in person. I want to pair my cosplays with the reading of the stories. And maybe that's a thing. Uh, and at least start with doing videos. So that's looking forward to the new year of doing that, being able to, like I said, spend more time on my Ko-fi content, um, and teach those online classes. Yep, I think that is everything I wanted to cover in this 2025 end of year wrapped. Also, just a little programming note as far as if you're on my social, um, like I just look to my stories. If I'm on Instagram, the only reason I'm on Instagram, it's because of my stories. A lot of good info there. This past year, like that was kind of my goal heading into this year, was trying to figure out a way to do the thing that I used to do, um, and be so good as far as um, being kind of a scout for what's going on in current events, and being up on like the latest of whatever is this, and being able to disseminate what's a good resource to go to, what's probably not true because it's, coming from this or stuff like that. That's kind of what I've always, you know, my thing. So, as people begin to like be like, I'm blocking your political stuff, I'm putting you on mute. I love what you have to say, but I don't like your people were like that on my personal private Facebook, and just on Facebook in general. I had to figure out a way to transition to like still trying to like, um, be there for the whole only reason I am there is to advocate for things and stuff. But also not like be absolutely shut down, blocked, all of the things that do also often happen. And I am, again, being very on the very bottom of these things. I don't have a lawyer fund. I don't have, the things. So I got to be very mindful of that. Also mindful of keeping people safe as to my best ability and affordability. Um, so all of that to say, look to my stories in the Insta. This year I hit like 7,000 shared things, and and a lot of that. So let me just, from one storyline we heard this year was the Circuit in El Salvador. That storyline, from the very beginning, I was on it, following it, finding the sources, trying to get the words out, sharing it, following along, following up and everything. So much so to the point that when that 60 minutes documentary, or that story, that 60 minutes, story and short documentary about it, got out and was leaking all over the place, yeah, my reaction to it wasn't quite the same as a lot of people around me, that they were like, wow, oh my gosh, that's so shocking, so heartbreaking. I was like, yes, this confirms everything that that we were sure was happening, everything that we had been, that the victims had been reporting on. Confirm. Okay. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's not frustrating. It's just a reminder to myself that sometimes there are layers to these things, and a reminder to like, I'm just saying, pay attention to those that are paying attention, and it's worth it to, like, it's a full-time job what I do as far as paying attention to current events, and trying to keep my community safe in the ways that I do. So all of that to say, be sure you're keeping an eye on that when I'm saying look for the helpers. Check out the links in my comments or in my descriptions for those helpers. When I'm saying look for the helpers or whatever, look for my stories and stuff. And because I have, if you're on that platform or whatever. So I'm a Trojan horse, so try to move in that way, if you know what I mean, as far as activist speak goes, or work, community work goes, whatever. Anyway, all right, well, that's it. That is my 2025 wrapped. I may even just leave all that in and not even edit it. Thank you so much for being around, for watching it. If you did watch this far, like, what? High fives you. Go you. Logging it in. What? It's worth it if you do, because you see the weird stuff like this. You earned it. Yeah, keep hanging on to that star. Anyway, love you guys. Long distance hugs. Do good, be good, be kind, be courteous, be proud, make yourself proud. And take care of yourselves and look for those helpers. Yeah, that was just a big time me remembering the latest attack on one of the charities I've long shared as a helper, and yeah. Anyways, good on you for being around here. It's hard not to be able to do my heart thing. There we go. Love you guys. Bye.